Hello there, folks, and welcome to this week's Tiki Tuesday live show. I am the community manager for Ragnarok Online, CM Oda, and I'm happy to have you folks with us today. There we go. That's right, we've got our nice beach. We have some filming stuff there. We're going to be doing some work for RO2's anniversary. They're in the middle of their anniversary events right now, so we'll be filming some videos showing kind of interviews with different members of the production team about the early days of RO2. So yeah, welcome folks, mahalo, thank you for watching, and this is what's happening this week. On Renewal Server, we're going to be doing some small fixes and quality of life improvements for the new Varus City area. That'll include things like adding more storage options to the cool event core NPC here in Varus City. Right now it's like, well, you can see one of your storages, but that's not really great. We'll also be adding an Eden Group teleporter to this map, so you will be able to get to the Eden Group and back without too much of a hassle. Hey there, Crispy Lays, how are you doing? And this is our new map, Varus City, sort of a futuristic, abandoned city. And there's lots of NPCs and some cool dialogue around for those who want to explore. I started the stream just a few minutes ago. Today I could only stay until 4 o'clock, so I apologize. Dagger 47, you didn't miss anything yet. We just started a few minutes ago. So, Renewal, we have some small fixes coming in. But on Classic Server, we have a little bit more going on. In this week's patch notes, Camp Tour posted. This is the culmination of some of the improvement things that we have been doing. Third Eye Crow says, Oda, the Varus City instance has a 130 requirement, but my 138 mech can't get in. There's something about a level 140 requirement on one of the access quests. We're checking this out because that does seem weird, that you have to be 140 to get in, but you can do a 130 quest. So we are checking that out. Thank you, Crispy Lays. Please remind me, folks, if I start using a lot of ums and ahs. I'm trying to cut down on speaking before I'm thinking. We tried to record a video with some of the GMs from Metal Assault last week. I was trying to use a wireless mic. Unfortunately, the sound that came off of this basically is like a kid's walkie-talkie, which sounded really, really bad. So, trying to salvage the audio on that. This is agua. Good old-fashioned water. Also, I wouldn't be drinking straight vodka, and certainly not in water with ice cubes. My drink of choice is usually a good old-fashioned Mai Tai. My grandmother, whenever she'd go to a fancy restaurant, would always order a Mai Tai. And they're usually bad because nobody knows how to make a Mai Tai nowadays. But she would always go for those. And my grandparents really loved Hawaiian stuff, and I think that filtered down to their kids, my parents, and to me as well. So yes, on Classic Server, we're making some changes to the way that God items and Seal Quests work, as well as changing up Jumping Janeway, adding new stages to make it a little bit more of a smooth path for leveling up. He also announced new plans for June between the 2nd and the 30th to be experimenting with disabling certain items' use in WoW to try to even the playing field just a little bit. Now, Wolfrunner123 says, "Can I make a Mai Tai, or are Mai Tais lost forever?" Mai Tais certainly exist, and they're actually coming back. If you ever get a chance to buy one of his books, probably one of my favorite people doing food or drink is a fellow named Beach Bum Barry. He's a historian who followed the history of where all these tiki drinks and cocktails came from. Guys like Don the Beachcomber, Trader Vic's, and he was able to track down the folks who made those drinks. In a lot of cases, these bartenders were from the Philippines. They emigrated, during the war. It was safer here in the States, and they got work at these tiki clubs, these tiki bars, these restaurants, and they invented a ton of the recipes that we know today, like the Blue Hawaii, the Chief Lapu Lapu, and it's a really cool story. He's got some books about the history and recipes of these drinks, so I highly recommend checking it out. But you definitely can get an authentic Mai Tai. There's a number of places that are trying to bring it back. So Campador has a feedback thread for the classic stuff that is going on. And we have a Tiki Tuesday thread where I'll try to answer some questions for you folks today. Leon asks, "Can I ask a question here, or do I have to join the Tiki to ask it? A proposal if we can get certain NPCs to repeat actions like the Shadow Gear Upgrader and the Enriched NPC. Example, Namus, the NPC that converts items into cat certs at Pront Woe area. Also the investment machine, so we can all stop spamming the NPC." I talked to Campador about that. He basically means that when you talk to the NPC, it doesn't close the dialogue once you complete talking to them. It brings up the choose menu again, like, "Hey, do you want to do this again? Do you want to repeat the action?" But Campador has said that he would like it, at least for now, to stay manual. That it's sort of like a speed limiter on people being able to just sort of spam the NPC. Mr. Ricebox asks, "Is it possible to add an Eden teleport officer in the Varus find spot?" GM Romeo, don't make me switch back to that. LXST says, "Any plans in the next few years opening up a new classic or renewal server And is it even possible on a technical level to do something like a progression server starting at the intro of renewal? It's something that we are looking into for renewal. We would not open up a new classic server. You know, we still have a lot of changes we want to make and improvements on the existing classic server. But the possibility of having something like one thing that we've wanted to do, and this was kind of what Yggdrasil was supposed to be back in the day, would be to have a higher EXP rate server. You know, not crazy, but it would just be an increased EXP server where new players could start out kind of fresh without a lot of the existing economy and things like that, where they would level up their characters, and every 6 months, every year, those characters would migrate over to Chaos, and then, you know, we'd restart the server. That is something that requires a lot of infrastructure, a lot of sort of automation and planning to make happen, because it would essentially be like doing a merger every, you know, a couple times every year, which is difficult to do when we've had to do it before. So it would have to work very, very well. Dager47 says, or asks, can we get episode 16.1 this year? We are pushing very, very hard to get that. Currently, it is on the schedule for a little bit later this year. We're trying to get as caught up as we can be for the episode updates, as well as getting the smaller updates that we've sort of been missing from the past. But we definitely want to get those. So Mr. Reisbach asks also, any reason why the Zonda Court employee in the Varus Fine spot wasn't localized to Cool Event Co. or Corp? That is something that it's this fellow right here. We will be doing that this week. So there are some small bugs with the 15.1 update that will be getting fixed. Can you provide a list of the possible enchants for the new mechanic gears, and which gears are enchantable? I am checking on this. I'm looking at the scripts. Dager47, will you implement Black Cross request to remove cast delay from Bowling Bash? I'm not aware of any plans to make changes to that system, Dagger. Let's see if they have this. Are you folks able to hear me and the music pretty easily? I like to have the levels so I can hear it here and that you can as well. Let's get notifications here. Let's just make sure. Okay. Now I have a question for you folks who are in the chat. How long have you played Ragnarok Online? Are any of you players since the beta days, the early days, 2003 to 2006? Yeah, for those people who are the veterans who remember Iroh from back in the days, we have a thread where if if you'd like to share your memories of RO from back in the day, I have the thread up here, and we're collecting stories and screenshots, and hope to have some cosplay as well as fan art and all kinds of community creations that we'll sort of put together, maybe do a retrospective video for our 13th anniversary this year.
Where the sky meets the sea, here am I, your special island, come to me.
I've been playing since the Sakurai test server was first introduced. Now, if I recall correctly, Devon Ariane, that Sakurai, it wasn't free to play, but I remember that it was double EXP enabled by default. So I know that a lot of people did play on it because you could level up more quickly. But people are already sharing up some really cool photos and screenshots from the old days. I'm seeing 2004, 2003, and also found some fun stuff from the old RO website that gonna see if we can salvage any of that stuff. For me, I came on board RO about 2005, so definitely, not one of the early people. I joined up with some of the other GMs. We were playing on, they started off on Chaos server, I believe, and they moved over to Iris. And so I believe that my first character was probably a thief and was able to get that up to a rogue. But the character that took me a long time was playing a battle acolyte that I later turned into a monk. I made the mistake with the rogue of changing jobs at level 40. I didn't realize that the bonuses that you get for leveling all the way up to job 50 were pretty significant. Thief I chose because I believe that the GMs I was working with said Thief is a lot easier to solo. It's a little bit more self-sufficient, and you have to use fewer. You're going to be using fewer potions. Zoe asks, "Hey Oda, why did the GMs move from Chaos to Iris?" I think one of the reasons was that Iris was sort of like more of a Wild West. If I remember, Loki had more people that were... There were more bots on Chaos, but Loki had more ill-mannered, like, kill stealers and stuff like that. There was sort of a stigma from back in the days about one server or the other, like, oh, these guys bot, but these guys do something else. So Iris was kind of like, this is sort of like, it's less populated, easier to sort of get your foothold in the economy. At least that's what I remember. Wolfrunner123 says, I started with a swordsman and I still have a crusader from way back. Actually, Undying, I think that is exactly what people said about those servers. Third Eye Crow says, do you remember that old RO website banner where you could click and kill a pouring? We're actually trying to find and see if our website team has old versions of the website from way back in the day, because we would actually like to get that. There are some things from the old website, like the Rune Midgard library. There were things like the sort of when you would look at the front page of the IRO website, and it would have characters, you know, the first and second class characters would walk down the little flash animated screen at the beginning. Yeah. Here is the original image. And that's what the old website used to look like. The pouring where you could click on it and it would explode. I think you can see that in the lower left-hand corner. I think it's if you clicked on them, they'd blow up. But it's sort of like those things. The Internet Archive has a lot of those saved, but not all of them. Undying Satyr says, Hall of Shame, LMAO. Absolutely. We used to post up the accounts that were suspended. It was a huge hassle for the GMs because they had to manually add all the entries by one of the GMs. I remember that banner because when you hovered your mouse over it, it made like a mean face. These are things that hopefully they exist, they still survive somewhere on one of our old machines, just like, you know, hoping that the GM team kept a little bit of that, or the web development team. Because a lot of that stuff we would like to bring back. We're trying to get a new website made. And I don't know, the current site is okay if old. But yeah, definitely check that thread out. People are posting up some really fun pics. Okay, question coming in from Shukel. Mailbox in Mora N and Eden Group NPC in Mora N2, please. We can check it out if you can give us coordinates of where you might want to see this NPC get put in. We can take a look at what's in that town. If other similar areas have those NPCs in there, then that might be something we could do. Crispy Lay says, when did you guys drop the original website? I think that the original website sort of went away. And I do need to stop saying and ah. I should unnerf LOD and post Mickey's guide on how to farm it for nostalgia. There is so much drama that came out of that. It was funnier if you didn't work here. Let's see. I feel like the website changed around the time when we switched to War Portal. When we tried to have a gateway, I guess as recent as 2008, we still had the old website, which was fairly similar to the original Caro website. Yeah, you can spend a lot of time on the Internet Wayback Machine, just like looking up old websites that you used to go to or work at. Yeah, that's interesting. I think when I first came on board, the website kind of looked like this. Undying Satyr says the current site is too official/new age, if that makes sense. The original site while it lacked the forms, really felt like the essence of Ragnarok. New site just doesn't fit with Ragnarok theme. I agree. I think any RO website that we make now, there are some design elements that you can see in what I linked to. Sort of like a lot of rounded edges, light, sort of like almost a watercolor lightness of colors, sort of like light blues, light greens. Devon Ariane says, will Jumping Janeway be on Chaos this year, and is there a plan for when? It may be... Jumping Janeway may make an appearance around the anniversary time, but Campitor will have to put more strict limitations on how many times you can use it per account. The idea is that we want to encourage new people to join instead of just like having a easy treadmill for existing players. So if we did put Janeway back in, it would have something like you can only do it once per account, sort of like the Daily Quen has a similar check. Dager47, Jumping Janeway is an NPC that we still have it on Classic, and we had it on Renewal as an event that would level your character pretty much to level 99 just by completing some simple quests. So a lot of people do want it to come back, but we do have to put some limits on it to make sure that it's being used for the right reason. Stephen Carl says, can you remove Nightmare mode for PvP? It just gets in the way of choosing the yo-yo mode. Are the Halloween transformation... So for the Nightmare mode for PvP, I think what Stephen Carl is asking is if we could change the order that they appear in the NPC's dialogue, so you don't have to, you know, accidentally click on it or something like that. Are the Halloween transformation candies still in effect even if we switch or change locations or maps? I think it still doesn't. Those transformation candies, Camtor would have to take a look at that. Also, he says, looking forward to the new Nightmare Old Glass Time and Horror Toy Factory, which we still haven't implemented yet. Horror Toy Factory will likely be coming towards the end of the year, after a lot of the really big updates we have coming in after the summertime. Nightmare Old Glass Time is also something that we have requested. Rich Dagger has a karaoke request, which I will jump into shortly. But first, we'll finish off the questions here. Aridano says, when will Section 9's Kaleidoscope be implemented? I know that there's some uproar regarding stuff related to WoW, but the other features can be useful when parting for PVM content. Work is still continuing on Kaleidoscope from our last talk with Section 9, though we had them focus on a possible fix for the classic no client info errors. And so if you're receiving the no client info errors on Classic, we have a thread where you can report if it's working for you or not. But very, very useful. And at least so far in testing, it seems to have worked properly if you are getting the no client info Rick Squirrel error on Classic. Dager47 says, will you implement a system where I can buy Zenny using WPE, like 1k WPE for 300 million Zenny? We're not really wanting to get into the business of selling Zenny. The problem is that, I mean, for one thing, it's like, unless you're EVE Online, you can't really get away with that. And what they're selling is basically like subscription time. You can buy items from the Kaffir shop and sell them, sell them from your merchant and make Zenny that way. That's perfectly legal. But Kaleidoscope is still being worked on. We don't have an ETA for when it will come in, but we are still working with Section 9 on that stuff. Any sneak peek regarding this year's event? Like I said before, we should be receiving this quest in early June, but it will be based on a popular chemistry-related television drama. Zero Tigers asks, RO Dex and Guild Warehouse when? We don't have an ETA on those, since I believe that they are not directly connected to an episode update. But we will probably not be getting them right away, but we have let Kara know that we want them in the near future. Fastfinger says, can you please expedite my God item name change request? Or just do it real quick. I sent you a PM. You gotta wait. You gotta wait for those. Undying says, can we get Unfrozen Shadow armor in the game again at some point? I missed out on the event, but would love a chance at collecting this gear set. Those are possible for the future. Let's see about this. Boost up the audio on that just a little bit. This has got a real Pearl Jammy kind of sound to it. I just ran away from home. Now I'm going to Disneyland. I just crashed my car again. Oops. No. Dang it, buffering. That's the only thing about non-YouTube karaoke solutions. It's just like Cake says, do you have any comment on the fact that former Ragnarok players are seeking legal actions against War Portal? If there is legal action being taken against War Portal, we wouldn't be allowed to comment on it. Usually that thing has to be settled in the legal field of things. Yeah, this song ain't loading. I'll wait for that to...
I'm going to Disney.
Now I'm going to Disneyland. I just robbed a grocery store and going to Disneyland. I just flipped up President George. I'm going to Disneyland. To Disneyland. So this is a song by Donna called Disneyland from 1992. I just tossed the fifth of gin. Now I'm going to Disneyland. I just got cuffed again. I'm going to Disneyland. Yeah. Shot my gun into the night. I'm going to Disneyland. I just saw a good man die. I'm going to Disneyland. I'm going to Disneyland. Jim Romeo is not a gym for War Portal. We don't have a copyright on the gym. Kick my ass out of school to the streets. Ride on a monkey's back, headed west into the black. I'm going to Disneyland. Going to Disneyland. Yeah, I'm going to Disneyland. Going to Disneyland. Yeah, yeah. So thank you for Richie Dagger for that karaoke request. That song is actually pretty cool. Let's see if we have any more questions. No, it looks like that's about it. Chael Thelion says, hello there, Oda. Hello, how are you doing? That's right. Quagsire 1988, only 10 minutes left for this stream. I have to call it early this week, but we will be back next week with a regular length stream. When we have Campitor on to answer questions from this thread. BGMDS, what's new this week? We're making some small fixes to things from 15.1 on renewal, as well as adding some convenience NPCs to Vera City here in the game. Now, Jim Romeo, I still like you guys. Zoe says, Oda Classic section when? for now, I'm not really for having a separate area for Classic. Yeah, so the production Q&A live stream is actually going to be on the last day of the month. And you can ask your questions for Camp Tour there. Zoe, if it got to the point where containing, if it becomes an issue of containment, it would rather be a better situation to just like those players don't belong on the forums anymore if they're causing so much trouble that they need to be contained. Dager47 says, when will you do a live QA with Korean Ragnarok developers, Oda? They're not really easy to get a hold of because, you know, they're in a totally different country and they don't do a lot of outward communications with us or, you know, all the partners. It's mostly through our translation teams, our localizing teams, their QA that, you know, we pass information between each other. But we actually did get the opportunity to interview Jason Park, who is the lead developer on Ragnarok Online last year or a couple years ago. That was actually a lot of fun. BGMDS, that we're asking for, but that actually came a little while later. That didn't come directly with 15.1. You need to get a Korean translator who's also a Korean loan shark to get your questions answered, Oda. It was not too dissimilar from that when we had the interview with them earlier on one of these live streams, which that was actually quite a bit of fun. That up. Quite a bit actually. It's got a cool look to it. Not a million things to do at the moment, but the folks who designed the maps for Caro do a good job of it. The environmental design I've always been a very big fan. don't really have time to do bot banning this week, but I will be doing that next week after the production live chat. It is cool to have a number of cool new monsters to fight. Like these robots who have some pretty cool expressions on their faces when they're sort of like blinking and stuff like that. Every RO monster has some really fun death animations too. But yeah, a lot of care put into the design of these maps. It has a really cool look to it. BGMDS says, and are there any plans on the 13th anniversary? We're going to be doing a lot of events, things like we have a art contest running right now. We've got a quest that we requested from Korea to get some unique stuff made for that. Yeah, this is a GM weapon, so it's pretty darn strong. Zoe Link, my baby monk, dropping people.
I want to get hyper.
Can we get GM weapon in the next Lucky Box? No, I don't think that will be happening. Yeah, look at this stuff. Cool rotating elements. It's like an old solar panel collection kind of thing. Yeah, they do good work. Looking forward to seeing what they do with the U.S. theme town. We're hoping to get some news back on that sometime soon. At least find out where it is on their development calendar. BGMDS, what players are able to do with even a few seconds of GM power is a little crazy. Hey, what's up?
No, don't mind me. Just need to find my headphones.
Oh yeah, you got the headphones right there.
Awesome. Tiki Tuesday, banning all the bots.
No, they get a reprieve for this week. You know, just the GM's working on bot hunting. But, you know, just doing a short stream this week. But next week, gonna have Campator in here to be doing a interview for production-related stuff. So I think that'll be fun.
Sweet.
No, that is... You want to mention your name from off screen?
Oh, hi. I'm Steve Veritas. I don't know where the screen is.
It is.
Hi.
It is everywhere and everywhere.
I'm the voice from the apparently I'm on a beach. It's very nice.
That's right. It's a wonderful semi-beach. This is our window, actually.
Yes, totally. There's kind of the sunset over Cancun. Is that what that is?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Live. Perfect. Now we just need to get you a Mai Tai.
Don't I wish? No, we can't have alcohol at the office
But you have what is it?
unless you keep it a secret and put it in a Coke bottle.
That is true. Or you could just make it a virgin Mai Tai.
I guess so.
So it'd be
I mean, a Mai Tai is like a third alcohol, so there's not really a lot of room to move around. Otherwise, it's just kind of like sweet water.
oh, I can figure it out. I think this is a challenge.
That could be fun.
I can do this. Or there's what do you call those pineapple-y coconut drinky things.
Oh yeah, like a pina colada.
Yeah, pina colada.
You can have a alcohol-free pina colada.
Who here thinks that Oda should have a coconut pina colada?
I
Or
think-
like a giant pineapple?
I will bring in my Vitamix blender and I will put it right in front of the microphone so everybody can hear it
Yes.
in their ear holes. We'll have the ice, pineapple juice, orange juice. It'll be a real sonic delight for you all.
Exactly. It could be like a recipe hour to go with, the Tiki Tuesday.
I would love to do some kind of cooking thing. It's just that we can't have any open flames, but maybe like a hot plate or something.
We could do cold dishes.
Cold dishes would work.
Hot plate, yeah, that's
I don't know if we'd want to bring a lot of food in here, but we've worked off the laptop before. That could be fun.
Or we could go even crazier. Hawaiian barbecue outside. We do have 2 barbecues.
That's right. We will bury a pig under some hot coals for 12 hours.
Exactly.
It's going to be like a sous vide, but no water and no boiling.
No one will notice. There's a giant empty parking lot. No one will notice.
Paradox, is it company or state policy that you can't drink at work? I don't know if it's state law, but at least company policy has been for a number of years is no alcohol in the office. It becomes a liability thing. It's one of the reasons why we can't have alcohol at game nights because, if somebody, they have too much to drink and they drive home, get in an accident, we have liability over that. And it's the same thing for employees. If employees are drinking at work performance suffering, that is a problem.
I've never had a problem with drinking and working.
There's another game I play where the devs have a stream where they get hammered on all the time, but they're a Canadian-based... Oh,
Okay.
there you go.
So, to answer your question, I've worked for a couple of companies. It is not a state thing. Sometimes it is a company reason. In other places, it could also be citywide, a city ordinance. Generally, though, it is up to the company's discretion whether they want to take on that kind of responsibility, because you do run into the issue of someone getting drunk and then maybe driving off.
Yeah. Jim Romeo says, watch, ask me something. I don't have a PlayStation 4, Digger. Watch, ask me something. Romeo, have you played any of the X-Wing scenario missions?
I'm gonna go back to work.
Cool. Thank you for dropping in.
No,
Well, we're about to wrap up in just a few minutes
I see how
anyway.
it is.
Yeah,
it is.
I'm gonna shut it off before you get to your desk. Yep. Gotta hurry. I don't have a PlayStation 4. There's not anything that is exclusive to the PlayStation 4, except for maybe like an Uncharted or the next Yakuza games. That is like, I need to get one right now. I've got an okay PC. So, I'm planning to play Overwatch on there as well. Eventually probably going to pick up, Doom. PS4 has a lot of JRPGs. Actually, it seems like a lot of the really nice JRPGs right now are on the DS. Gio Romeo says, by the way, Oda, I want to do a Star Wars night in October. Actually, that would be a lot of fun in the lead up to Rogue One. Like, we'll probably have like a Star Wars themed game night. I have bought more of the Star Wars RPG stuff from Fantasy Flight than I care to admit. Yeah, I've bought a lot of Star Wars traditional games. But yeah, I definitely like to check that out, Romeo. And we'll have to get the next game night scheduled as well. But yeah, if somebody says, hey, do you want to play some Star Wars tabletop or strategy games, like, of course, I'm definitely down for that. Yeah, I've been playing some Star Wars Armada, Romeo, over at Brookhurst Hobbies in over there in Garden Grove, and that's a ton of fun. It's a little bit more slow moving than X-Wing, but it's got a lot going for it. So, I believe that it's about. Oh, Dagger 47 has. This will be the last question for this stream. Are you looking forward to a world where virtual reality am I looking forward to a world where virtual reality is at the center of everything? I'm curious to see how far that goes, if it actually works out this time. I don't know. I'm curious to see what they do with virtual reality. It's not necessarily super cheap to do yet. I started a little bit late, Zoe. Same with me, Romeo. I do like the miniatures aspect of it. It's like Micro Machines, but way more expensive, but way cooler. I don't know. I think virtual reality, you can see things like the Ragnarok Online and Virtual Reality project that they have the capability to give you a new point of view on games that you've played before. Being able to see Frontera from ground level. I don't know if you could have a game like that yet, but it still is a really cool novelty at this point. It would be interesting to see if this is something that proliferates, if it's like, going from CRTs to flat screen monitors in computers, or going from separate sound cards to integrated cards. If this is like a leap in technology that is going to happen like dumb phones to smartphones, or if this is going to end up like 3D, where it was really hyped but it didn't really take off, partially because of the expense, partially because it makes it more difficult for people to access the media. Like, you putting on glasses for me is kind of annoying. Zoe says some kind of side game / quest in VR alongside traditional Ragnarok would be cool. I think so. Like, you could definitely have in the Vive, you could have an archer minigame where you're playing as an archer and you're shooting arrows at monsters, pull rings, things like that. You'd probably need to have 3D assets, 3D porrings that you can shoot at and they blow up like porrings do. Like, that would be something that you could easily have in RO. Zoe says, I always wished RO had something like the VMU Chow, by the way. Oh, yeah. I had a Dreamcast. having if you had a phone app where you could take care of your pets, or if you had a homunculus, you're in Orc Dungeon or something like that, and you can feed your homunculus that way, that would be a cool application of mobile tech. It's something where if we had people who could do mobile development in the office, I'd love to see a IROWiki style database that you could just look up on your phone. You know, or if you wanted to try putting together builds of your character in RO, like, well, let me see what the character would be like with these stats and with this gear on. Like, that stuff would be pretty cool to have in a browser or on a mobile. GM Romeo says, I want a mobile device for RO that I can look up items and see where I hit it on my 50 accounts. Now, the problem with that is that being able to see what's on an account, it has to ping the account server. So even something like a ROPD, you know, it's not really tearing apart our database or tearing apart, like looking at the inventory of a character is something that we can do through our jam tools, but it's definitely not something that if you could look at that data, if you could tear it apart and look at it, it's something that could probably be abused. But, I mean, all of these have to be balanced versus, like, can it compromise the data in the game versus, you know, is this a really useful tool? But, as Zoe said, a lot of these things are within the realm of possibility. That's not a bad idea, Romeo. That's not a bad idea. That could be interesting. Of course, for some accounts where all of your storages are full, all of the character inventories are full. Oh, thank you, Frank Otaku. Okay, I have to get going, folks. I'd like to thank you so much for joining me. Ah, true. Okay. I'd like to thank you folks so much for joining me on this slightly shorter, although not that much shorter, Tiki Tuesday live stream. Patch notes will be going up for renewal very soon. Patch notes are already up for Classic server, and we have details on what's going to be going on. So, thank you for following. Thank you for watching week after week. It does make me very happy to see so many familiar names in the chat. And so, for all of you out there in TV land, aloha, and see you folks again soon. Whoops.